well, they're still in the telephone book. I don't know whether they move houses anymore or not. And my telephone book is very old. And so anyway, she gave me the number, and I called the number, and this guy answered the phone. And I said, do you guys move houses? He goes, yeah, we do. I said, it's not a mobile home. It's a very, very old house. He said, we move houses. I said, it's a very, very old house. And he asked me, he goes, we move houses. That's what I do. I've been doing this for 50 years. And I said to him, he goes, what's the dimension of the house? And I can't really exactly remember what the dimension of the museum is anymore. But I told him, he goes, yeah, we can move it. But it's going to cost you a lot of money. I go, how much? $5,000. I started to laugh, and this guy thought I had really lost it. I was hysterical. And he's like, look, miss, I don't have time to play games with you. That's what it's going to cost you, no more, no less. You can't deal with that. I said, sir, it's fine. It's really fine. It's perfect. And 2 weeks later, he came down and he moved the house. And it was so funny. When the guy moved the house, he had it on this huge flatbed truck. And here was this huge train of cars following this house to see where it was going. It was unbelievable. And I moved into the field, and that was in 1998. And my mom got increasingly worse, and I kind of put things on the back burner. My mom got very, very ill. And she had to move to Texas with my sister Bobby. So I was not thinking about doing anything in the house at that point. Then my mom died in 2000. And that house set in that field, all boarded up, all filled with hay. And I was at the train. I always used to see this man there, Mr. Bailey. He said, I always see you come here. You're here a lot, right? Oh, yeah. So my mom is here, and I have a grandmother. She's 100-some years old. You have a grandmother that's 100-some years old? And I go, yeah. He goes, is she bedridden? I go, of course not. My grandmother's just fine. And that was the wife of Mississippi John Herder. I call her Mama D. I go, Mama D is fine. She goes, she's a history book. I bet you if she doesn't know anything. I go, I bet you. I tell you what. I go, what do you do? He said, well, I do a bunch of stuff. I own a lot of houses. I do this and I do that. I go, oh, okay, I tell you what. If my grandmother is not sane, then I'll make a deal with you. If my grandmother's sane, you'll do a project for me. He goes, if your grandmother's sane and she's 109 years old, you doggone right, I'll do that. So I canceled my train trip, and I took him around the corner to my grandmother's house. And Mr. Bailey was interviewing her, and he was taking pictures of her. He was asking her, ask her her name. And I said, Mom, dear, would you tell her your name? My name is Gertrude Hurt Conley. I said, and he said, well, ask her this and ask her that. And then she told, tell her. She goes, ask me. Why are you asking him? I'm not crazy. I can talk. I mean, what do you want to know? So I wondered that, and the rest is history. And Mr. Bailey refers the house to me, but the project became more, as far as the museum is concerned, I didn't think it was something that I could do. I mean, it was an insurmountable thing, and I didn't have anybody really to help me. And Mr. Bailey came in and fixed the house up, and everything just like fell in place. And I remember coming down, and I called John Sebastian, and I just called him. I said, if I had a grand opening on a Mississippi John Herder project, would you come down and do the grand opening? And I asked him like a year before, and in the process that my mom died and whatever, but he remembered. And he called me, he said, on the phone one day, he said, Mary Francis, this is John Sebastian, and I'm going to be in Mississippi in July 2001 to do the grand opening for you. The house was filled with hay still. it was nowhere near. I had no anything, nothing in it. So I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this. I can't. So I came down and I had a little blurb in the paper. Anyone having any paraphernalia they want to donate or to a loan for a grand opening for the Mississippi John Hurt Museum. They knew him in the community. And people came from every place. And the night before the grand opening, I came down by myself, and I was just exhausted. No one helped me. And I remember Art Browning driving across the line, and he had an armful of albums with my grandfather's music, and he looked at me, he goes, "Are you Mary Frances?" I go, "Yes." And I was looking at him parked on my grass where I had just had freshly cut. I'm like, "Why are you on my grass?" That's what I don't get. And I had these filthy, grimy overalls on, and I looked a total mess. And he looked at me, he's like, "God, you look so tired. Do you need some help?" I go, "Of course I need some help. I mean, what do you think?" I mean, I had this pail in my hand, and he jumps in the truck and he pulls off. I'm like, whatever. And about 45 minutes to an hour later, he came back with his overalls on, with bleach and all kinds of stuff. And he goes, "You know, I'm going to help you." And Art and I cleaned that house from, oh God, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And we were so exhausted. And he turned and looked at me, he goes, "If you tell anybody I did this, I'm going to kill you." And the rest is just really has been a miraculous thing. I cannot believe this is the 5th year. People have come from across the globe, to help me. I still can't believe, even after this festival, the people that has been just marvelous. And I just, the wound that I had in my heart as a child, never ever wanting to come back here, that wound has healed with the people of all racial backgrounds. I vowed never to come back to Carroll County, but I have never been more received. This project has never been more rewarding. Any pain that I ever felt as a child, any racial wound that I've ever felt in my life was healed through that museum. People come from every single place. And I cannot think, with the 3 years that my grandfather traveled and the impact that he had on people's lives, just those 3 years that he traveled, it is unbelievable. I am always amazed. I was asked to come to Los Angeles, California about 4 or 5 years ago to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Folk Alliance. And when Dick Waterman introduced me, he had this video of my grandfather. I was amazed of the people from all over the world at that festival. And I'm always amazed from emails that I get from Japan, Hungary, Scotland, every place that you can mention. And I know that the Mississippi John Hurt Foundation is not, it's bigger than the man who moved away. It was like something that he had to do, because certainly it has been a lesson in my life. I get an opportunity to take students and I tell them about my life, the poverty that I live in. I teach in the inner city of Chicago. And I talk about my granddad and others like him.